Hello, my name is Jeremiah Semien, and I'm going to tell everybody a story about my life. Now, I'm sure probably most of my viewers have either read it, my autobiography, or should I say a documentary about my biography, which I'm going to give you the names of them, which are Dare to See the Truth, The Histories of Jerry, the documentary, The Man, the Story, and the Legend, The Histories of Jerry, the documentary. Also, The Diaries of Jerry, Volume 1, 2, and 3, and The Events of Jerry. So, as I begin telling you my story, to piece it all together in one DVD, or one video, or film, whatever you want to call it. Well, I was born October 23rd, 1976 at 3:36 a.m. A little baby boy. They didn't even know my name yet until my mother went to a Catholic church, St. Anne's. And my aunt, whoever you want to call her, Angel Mary Gobert, decided to go to church. And I think my mother went too, if I'm not mistaken, as the story goes on. And they were reading from the book of Jeremiah, and that's how they came up with my name. Well, as time went by, I had what's called the whooping cough. At the time, they didn't have any vaccine for it. So my grandmother had to, I think, put an egg, or scramble, or do something with the egg. Not scramble, I think it's a sunny side up or whatever, and put it on my chest. It was an old remedy they used to use years ago. My mother went to the doctor. I remember her telling me she thought I was going to die, but apparently I didn't. So, bottom line, I suppose that Jesus had a plan for me anyway. Well, as I gets older, as I move forward, should I say, from a baby to an infant, or a baby to a child, I remember growing up in Lawtell, Louisiana. I remember being heavier than all the others, than my other cousins, usually Amanda, Gina, and Christopher. Okay, Amanda and Gina were Goberts. They were married to Gobert or Gobert. Christopher Regis Semien his father was married to Pellery, Judy Pellery. Rogers was a Gobert. And my brother, Caleb Semien, I was the biggest out of all of them. They used to make fun of me as a kid, tell me I was overweight, how I needed to lose weight, I eat everything, I'm just a big fat pig, things like that. So I think it got to me as a kid. I think sometimes it gets to you as an adult as well. Okay, as I continue with the story. Well, I remember one time having a red fire truck as a kid. And I accidentally, I didn't accidentally do it. What happened is I pushed the little truck under the house, and I told my mother I accidentally did that, and she told me, I remember, she told me that it will stay there. Anything that's under the house will stay, because she's not going to get it. I think as a kid I felt bad. I did have other toys to play with. I think I've had little green men. They were G.I. Joe. At the dollar store you could get them for $1. So a pack of G.I. Joe men, a pack of animals, little I think it was those little plastic animals, like the plastic G.I. Joe. I had a Marauder, and inside they had a little transformer within it. And I remember one time playing with my mother's curlers, and I had a cat, I guess a little toy I used. It was a rubber door stop. It was a kind of big square rubber door stop, and I put some clothespins on it, and that was eyeballer. That's what I call it. As a kid, I pretend to be a singer under Luke Records. I was. And then when I was a teenager, I had started my own label. And you can read some of my fictional autobiographies from the entertainment business, which could be The Story of Jerry, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Also, The Life Stories of Many Characters, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Probably if you get The Strange and Weird Fact Files, The Symbol Man, there's something in there too. And other books that I have. Maybe I can kind of think about them. Some of them are, let's see, I know The Poet's Dream, Brothers Night Out, Trial Lawyer. This is from a publisher in Maryland. I also have J-Rock Government. I can't think of too much. Then I also have some other entertainment fictional autobiographies. Well, some of them entertainment business with my autobiography, The Histories of Jerry. Probably from Hell and Back. I probably have stories like Jerry the Entertainer, or Entertainer of the Year. I probably have, I can't remember all my books. But Amazon.com, or just go to Amazon and type in my name, which is Jeremiah Semien. So, and I think if you get any one of my documentaries, my name is at the end of the credits as the writer. So, I'm hoping you can find it. Okay, being a kid, I recall that my grandmother and my mother really paid more attention to my brother. He started to fix lawnmowers. He wanted to start to learn how to fix things. And I think that when I wanted to be a writer, that was something that they frowned on. I think my ex-stepfather frowned on too. A lot of people I knew frowned on me being a writer, or in other words, me being an artist. That was something to frown on. Well, I remember going to the store one day, and to get the submarine, I had cut a cousin of mine. His name was Horace Antoine Guillory and Rose Guillory. I forgot her maiden name. Maiden name. Well, she was a Guillory. Her middle name. I think it was Rose Ann Guillory, something like that. Anyway, I remember going to the store and I wanted to get a toy for myself and my brother. I remember seeing the Submariner, the Transformers, and I got that one. And that was just enough for me to pay. And then I saw another one from my mother, actually. I was about to say, I did see the Transformer. It was a bigger Transformer than myself. I forgot the name of it. And it was a little more than I had, but my mother said she was going to put in the rest to get it. So I felt at that point of my life that, well, if I remember asking that too, if I wanted an expensive one. She said no, she wasn't going to get it for me. So I guess I kind of felt bad about it. My brother was getting something and I was not getting something either. So I suppose it made me feel bad as a kid. I think any child feel bad. Like the chance for me to do something with my life, which apparently I did. Later on, I did become an artist, which that's what I wanted to be in the entertainment business. But I'm going to tell you this. In the entertainment business, it's hell. So if you work a 9-to-5 job, that's hell. But the entertainment business, that's hell too. So it's not like it's something you can pass and say, well, oh, I love to be in the entertainment business. And it's a job I love, because personally I do love it. But at the end of the day, there's so much drama going on. Okay, also, I remember as a kid I wanted some candy and I didn't get it. And I think that I remember wanting a candy and my mother said no. I was at a store and I was supposed to put it back in. I think that at the time I forgot about it. And so it was in my pocket, but I didn't mean to put it back because I was telling myself that, yeah, I'm going to put it back since I can't have it. But let me go find my mother and my grandmother. And I did forget about it, and apparently I took it. Also, being a kid, growing up, especially as a child, I started reading dictionaries and thesauruses. I had what's called a child's body with an adult mind. Later on, you're probably going to figure out as a teenager that I thought about that I was actually trapped in the wrong body. I wrote two songs about it, which is a woman trapped in a man's body and a black man trapped in a white man's body. Okay, being a kid, not having anyone to play with, because when I went to school I didn't have any children to play with. I remember going to kindergarten and actually constructing some kind of, I guess it's I wouldn't say house, but some kind of, I guess, skyscraper, building actually. And I remember a lot of children took the toys away that I had. So I think I was kind of upset. I was mad about that. As a kid, I was shy. I didn't hardly ask too many questions, things like that. I should have at the time. I guess that's why I wouldn't have failed kindergarten. As a kid growing up, I started to experiment when it comes to sex. I think a lot of children do that. And I think the first one I did was my brother and I kind of fool around a little bit as kids. I remember wearing my mother's dress. I think my brother did it too. I had on some white nail polish. According to my brother, he remembers that if a boy wears any polish, it has to be white. I never really understood it. I had got, or should I say, there was a bully named Simon who bullied me when he found out my nails, they had, well, kind of white if I painted, if I was a woman. I hated that. And I think as a kid, when you have a bully, they had people bullying me into fighting one time, because if I wasn't going to fight, and I really hate that. I was trying to get away. I remember people bullying me most of the time. I think that leaves a scar on a child at the end. So I think Brandon was another one we had kind of fooled around. I think that was the night that I gave him a blowjob at that time. I wasn't really too much into that, but I think what it was is Brandon kind of pushed me a little further into my sexual orientation, which I think today. See, at the time I thought I was bisexual. Now I think I'm not. I think I only go one way. I think guys only. Some people might say you gay, fag, homosexual, queer, whatever. I guess I'm just right up that alley. Anyway, being a kid, and I think as I recall, that when I went to Lawtail Head Start, which was the, I guess it's preschool is what they call it. Well, I didn't really have fun with a lot of children. I played mostly, like I said, by myself when I was in kindergarten through, I think it was 4th grade. Started playing by well, when I was in kindergarten, 1st grade, kindergarten through 3rd, I was mostly by myself, sitting down. I didn't really want to play with other children. I think the other children wanted to know why I wasn't playing with them. I just didn't feel like it. Like I said, I was kind of an adult, but had a kid's body, an adult mind with a child's body. And I just watched the children play. I think when I was in 4th grade, I started to pretend like I had my own car and stuff. I did really get ridiculed for it. And I think that it made me stop doing what I usually do. And I guess I hated that, really. I remember one time understanding about prejudice. I didn't really know as a kid too much about it. But I kind of knew that, well, I look like a white boy, but I'm not. Apparently I'm supposed to be a African American male, but I look like a Caucasian male or a black male, whatever you want to call it. I'm actually mixed because I found out that my family is Spanish, French, Indian, African. I'm also, I know one of my family members came from Puerto Rico, so Spain, France, Africa, probably on the west side, usually Africa. Also, the Indians were here in North America already. And I think my other ancestor, the ancestor from Puerto Rico was a male, was my grandfather, his grandfather. And I was told a story that they had to pay $300 at that time for him to become a U.S. citizen. And my grandfather's grandmother lived in the Dominican Republic. And if you watched some of my autobiographies, I have pictures of them. So, continuing as a child, I think that I wanted to grow up fast. I remember my mother didn't have nothing. It was mostly my mother, myself, and my brother. And we stayed in a house in Lawtell, which is now a men's shelter. But it's a yellow siding house in Lawtell. You probably seen the house from my documentary, Dare to See the Truth. And you probably seen me go to the graveyards of my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather. Also, which is Mama and Old Dad, and then Dick and Rose, which I said Horace Guillory and Rose Guillory. My grandmother, Anastasia Semien, who died, plus my grandfather, Noah Semien, or Noe Semien, and then an uncle of mine died at 10, Bradley Semien. Well, my mother told me a story when I was a little boy, or a big boy, whatever you want to call him, that they had a dog named Cookie, and it ran out in the street, and I was running behind it, and I think the lady name was Verse. She killed the dog, and my mother ran after me. She got it. I was running after Cookie, and my mother said all I could think of is, I pointed and said, Cookie. I think little kids usually like animals. They do. I think a lot of kids are curious about it. Well, also, my autobiography, which hopefully it's going to be out one day. It's The Histories of Jerry, the autobiography. It's and it's 10 chapters. It's kind of a short summary of my life story. So hopefully that'll come out. Well, being a kid, I used to watch cartoons. G.I. Joe was one. Transformers was one. Voltron at the time was one that I seen. Uh, I haven't seen the Monsters. It was not really a cartoon. It was kind of a series, and a kind of like the I guess adult series where they had the Cousin It, I believe, and Lurch and all them. They did later on have a cartoon about it. The Addams Family is what it was called. And I think they did one in black and white, if I'm mistaken. Then one in color, and then a cartoon. They did, I think, a movie. I think 2 movies, something like that. My cousin Chris and I used to play G.I. Joe often. I guess that's another one. Him and I did experiment sexually too, as well, because we were fooling around. I think him and I fooled around most of the time. I think he wanted to stop when he was in his 20s. So, I guess a lot of people ask me if I'm going to have a girlfriend. Oh, you going to get married? Yeah. I guess when they have marriage for guys, I guess if you and girls, different kind of guys, different kind of girls, if you want to say. Well, as you can read some of my stories in my autobiography, which actually I think it's called Jerry, King of Music, and then I have one called The Memoirs of Jerry. I think it's True Confessions is what it's called. The Memoirs of Jerry. Then you can also read my screenplay, Blue Rain, The Truth of Jerry, which is the screenplay of my life story. So later, I think learning to write short stories as a kid, write lyrics to songs as a kid, it gave me that foundation to one day become the person I am today in the entertainment business. Well, I remember at a time that my Aunt Angel, we went to spend a night over there. And I also remember my bears. They were a green bear called Boo Boo, a big brown bear called Tutu, a rabbit, those were stuffed animals, a rabbit called Pumpkin, and a stuffed dog called Snowball. I won Pumpkin in a contest. It was a contest for Easter, and I won 2 rabbits. I won a blue one and a pink one, and I gave the pink one to my brother. I took the blue one. Actually, I think my mother wanted me to have the pink one and my brother to have the blue one, and I just said I like the blue one. So I think my mother was kind of disappointed when I did say that. But my brother had stuffed animals too. He had a big stuffed dog. The first one shed it. She had to go get and exchange it for another one. Then he had that pink bear. Then he had Woodstock. He had a pink bear, Woodstock. Yeah, I think that was the 3 animals he had. And he had some toys too. Like I said, he had toys. I remember buying him some cars. He had a race car as a teenager. No, that was Mike's stepfather's nephew. Sorry. I'm going to get to them later. And I was always called the person that destroys stuff. A devastate, if you want to say. Or in Creole French is called I have to think about that one, don't I? Brito. That's what they call it. Anyway, I remember my mother and my grandmother wanted me to lose weight. I remember starting exercise as a kid. I did lose some weight. I was down to a 29, size 29. I was at a size 30 as a kid. 32, I think. I was that big. And I went down to size 29. I started fitting my brother's clothes. I think that kind of made me to exercise more, lose weight. So my brother had the toy cars. I remember my Aunt Angel bought us some little spacemen. It was some men that was dressed up to go to space. Like any of these men and women go in space. We had that one for Christmas. I remember getting a Scrabble. I remember getting charades game. My aunt brought that for me, the charades game. I remember playing Scrabble or Monopoly. Playing Monopoly too. I think later on I didn't feel like playing Monopoly. As a teenager, not much really. I remember going to school with didn't have any friends. My brother had friends. Had different friends. I didn't have any. I started kind of hanging out with them. And from there I really didn't want to too much hang out with them. I remember a girl named Shalisa Douglas liked me. Cinderella Jordan liked me at the time, but Cinderella got married. So that was a no-brainer. I found out later on Shalisa lost a lot of weight, and I think she's into devil worshiping. Her mother had an accident at one of the jobs I had, and I'm gonna get to all that later as well. I know it was Winn-Dixie. So being a teenager with my ex-stepfather was kind of hell on. It was just hell on wheels, if you want to call it. He used to beat me. I was physically abused by him. I remember him throwing me against the wall. I remember him beating my chest till you could almost see it was going to bleed. I remember him chasing me with a gun, a knife around the house. I remember wanting to leave. I was really rebellious. I lost weight because I was anorexic. Didn't want to eat for 30 days. So I kind of understand how Jesus felt. So, trying to find love. I had feminine characteristics. Apparently my mother brought him in so I could become a man. Here's the thing. Just because a man is physically a man doesn't mean all the time that's the way he thinks. But I became kind of tough, strong. We started making fun of a lot of each other and a lot of people. We made fun of them. We did travel throughout the United States. We did go on camping trips, which was good. I think that's when I was a kid, introduced to Jose Manuel Guillory, who died in a drug, I guess it was a drug bust. Somebody, maybe he was on somebody's turf. Anyway, him and I tried to experiment as well. It didn't really work out. Tough. He was one of those tough thugs, I guess. But I think him and I tried to be good friends. It was hard. I remember one time we were mad at one another. He called me a fag. I called him one. And we started fighting. I think I busted him in his mouth. His teeth was bleeding. My right jaw right here was hurting. So I guess we had to. He would lie a lot, especially on me. I remember one time I went to fight with the man at Richard Club. My grandmother used to go to Richard Club. And I remember staying up and waiting for her to come back. Because It just felt different. I kind of started trying to get close to my grandmother. I think when I became a man in my 20s, we did try to be close as a grandmother and grandson should be. But I think that was kind of start. Just like I had to take care of them as a man. She had cancer, passed away, and I think she passed away around 2001, and Big passed away in 2002. Horace Guillory, but Rose Guillory and Nan, she died in '93. So, and it was a summer. It was a summer when my grandmother died. It was the winter. My cousin died. Horace died. And it was a summer when Rose died. And I remember that day. It was like my Big called. She was very sick. I could tell. You could tell she was pale at one time. And she was very sick. She didn't want to take any more fluid medicine. She stopped that. And the fluid drowned her organs. So that's how she died. With Horace, Big, I call him, he died because his I guess the crap, shit, whatever that was in his intestines was backing up on him. He used to take a lot of my lantern, and it started backing up. So that's how he died. Well, being a teenager, trying to write, start to be a writer, which was something I did, which, like I said before, was not accepted. Oh, my brother didn't hardly accept me too much either, because I was kind of dampen his situation. I wasn't cool enough. I always said I wasn't black enough for him, because that's how I felt. When you're not dark enough like his other friends. But I suppose one time with my grandmother, didn't really want to be bothered. My ex-stepfather told us how he didn't want to be bothered. She didn't want to be bothered with us. And when I kind of found out the truth, I was hurt. I mean, I think I was hurt by a lot of things. I let a lot of things get to me. I let what people say, because at the time people said I was weird, crazy, foolish, stupid. I remember my ex-stepfather fussing me, and told me I was less than a dog. My mother let it happen. Apparently she said he was going to kill her. That's why she let a lot of things happen. I almost killed the guy. I almost took a knife and killed him. Him and I was fighting over a radio, a boom box, if you want to call it. And I thought he was finished. She told me he was finished. So I brought it back to my grandmother. I was starting to bring some of my clothes there. And my stepfather was mad, and I had to go get it. I was in a little red car at the time. So I went get it. No, I said red car. It was my uncle's wife, his new wife, Florence. She's a Guillory who married a Semien. And that was Chris's stepmother and his stepsisters and her brother. Anyway, I had to go get it back. My grandmother told me to get it back, tell him he can keep his radio, that I don't need it. She was supposedly going to give me another one. I remember the time when, so that's how that happened. But I think my brother, something told me to put the knife down. I ran outside and I told my grandmother the whole story of what happened, what was going on. She had a feeling about it. So I was told to stay at Big's house. And that's where my grandmother and I stayed. I had to get my clothes and stuff, but we stayed there. Now my family fussed a lot. I think they did fuss a lot, as you could think. So it was kind of, I think it was got a little rough as a teenager growing up. I think when you're physically abused, because I hate people who physically or sexually abuse people. I think it's hard. Okay. Well, as as I went through this battle out of hell, I felt as though I became tougher later on. And my grandmother and I had to move into what is now, like I said, the men's shelter. That was the house I lived in. And like I said, when I went to school, I finished all the way through high school. High school, I hated high school. I met a cousin of mine named Alfred Ledette. Him and I used to hang out later on when I was in my 20s. We went to see 2 movies. I think we went to see Event Horizon and I forgot the other one. There was something about with Lawrence Fishburne as a gangster. Whatever it is. I forgot the name of it. We went to see that movie. Well, going to college was probably my next step. I didn't really have a clue really. I probably went to college for an accounting, for business management. I went to for welding. Didn't work out. I even went online to college. I would have made it, but I went into an advanced math class that I tried to get out and couldn't. So, going to college, I still had that mindset that, you know, I thought about being with a woman. I think later on I thought about being with a woman, having 2 children. Well, like I said, college I felt wasn't really right for me, I guess. But getting a better job is hard, trust me. Without an education. Going to, like I said, Lawtell Elementary, Lawtell Head Start, then Northwest High, and then LSUE, and then going to T.H. Harris, and also trying to go through Phoenix Online. It just didn't work for me. I don't know what would have. Apparently, that didn't. Okay. I think college works for some people. I guess some they don't. So, going to college, trying to not only trying to get an education, I was trying to hook up. I was actually trying to find a friend, actually a guy friend. But anyway, apparently I was still invisible at that time, so the hell. I remember starting to jack off as I seen some of these Rolling Stone magazines and who was on. A lot of these guys were on it. Also, I think there was one I wanted to hook up with, and I just kind of was like, I guess peeping Tom, just going through the library, pretend to look for books, but looking for somebody. Well, also I remember a girl. They had a girl that sat by me, and she started to kind of talk to me, and I think, rumor has it, something was wrong with me. So they had 2 guys that came, psychological, I guess I had some psychological whatever. And I think at that time, having that made a person like me you have to think about these things, and I think that's what happened. I had to think about what I was doing. I think trying to believe in Jesus also kind of made me feel maybe I need more spiritual in depth in my life. Well, having odd jobs, working at Walmart in Opelousas, Louisiana, when it was in the old frontage road. I worked as a stockman, graveyards. Went to Winn-Dixie, worked there as a stockman in Opelousas, Louisiana. Then went to Eunice, Louisiana, and worked for Winn-Dixie, transferred. Stayed with Winn-Dixie for 2.5 years. I stayed with Walmart, I think, for 3 months. 3 or 4 months. Like I said, if you get my autobiography, you get to see my work resume and artist resume. My short version of my artist and work resume, and my long version of my artist and work resume. So working for them, then working for Piggly Wiggly and Church Point. Then working for staging out in Church Point, Louisiana. Then stage in Opelousas, Louisiana. Then LSUE in Eunice, Louisiana. Then Races and Aces in Eunice, Louisiana. Then Evangeline Downs in Opelousas, Louisiana. Working at Gold Rush in Nuba, Louisiana, which is the outport of Opelousas, Louisiana. Then working at Eunice Manor in Eunice, Louisiana. There, and I'm a cook slash helper. Or should I say, they think I'm a doormat slash whatever. Not only doing music as my CD Smile came out, but I've also did the other documentaries. Stories about mankind. I did documentaries about people preaching, like my brother and two other male preachers, and this other female co-pastor. So, doing some performances. I feel that my time, I guess I'm trying to run against the clock when it comes to the entertainment business. Writing a lot of books. I should have over 70 books published in paperback. I think I have 2 hardcover, but it's one hardcover, which is a picture book. I had a calendar that came out in 2010. I also had some paperback picture books. I also hooked up with net shows. Peter Wesley in Connecticut. I think it's Enfield, Connecticut. Having one of my songs. Then later my short documentary was done, which I did get a lot of backlash to it. I went to school to try to work as a welder. Didn't work. Went back to school. My brother did it. Then I was a mystery shopper. Did the little mystery shopping things. Did it for a while. Did surveys on the internet. Surveyed different companies. Made a little bit of money here and there. Little I call it gas money. A little change to put gas in my vehicle. I remember having a blue Chevrolet my brother gave me, which hardly worked. I remember a cousin of mine, I think his name was Larry, who was on drugs, trying to fix the truck, my car. I remember I didn't even want the car. Then later on, like I said, I had a house, my grandmother's house, with all the possession, her car, which later on gave out. Then, later on, after my mother divorced my ex-stepfather finally, we moved into what my grandmother's house was. A big brick house. And then later on moved into a very used blue house. And I've been ever since. So, I had an out-of-body experience, and I think I've told a lot of my viewers, a lot of people about it. I left my body, my spirit had a chance to see heaven and hell. Before all that, I have seen spirits that walk the earth. Where I lived, I heard voices, which one time I did hear one, and I was at my what used to be my house is now a men's shelter. Voices in the living room. and I couldn't hear them, but the light was going dim. I couldn't understand them, should I say. And I didn't even hear the conversation. Well, learning all the stuff that's in the underworld, or hell, Hades, whatever you want to call it, learning what's up in heaven, kind of made me know more in depth. I think one time when I was praying, I wanted to know more about the Creator. I think that's how I went through the out-of-body experience. I've had dreams as well about the end of the world. I had a dream as well of the world chancellor, Antichrist, if you want to say. The microchip is the mark of the beast. If you read Revelations, I can give you an idea that the asteroid that's supposed to hit us, the meteorite, which is supposed to be Apophis, it might be bigger than Apophis. So we all gonna get hit by an asteroid, meteorite. Nuclear warfare plays a big, I guess, picture in this world. And also, we all have to be judged of what we didn't do in life. So, I think that once you read my autobiography, you will know more about what's going on in my life. Okay, I also had a dream about a young lady I'm supposed to marry, so say in Canada. Alicia, or I think her name is Alicia or Elena, whatever. I'm supposed to have 2 boys. The lady is supposed to be a mixed Hispanic Latino woman. Like I said, if you watch some of my documentaries, read my autobiographies, you'll learn. I'm supposed to move up to Canada. I'm supposed to have a record deal with her father, who's a multi-billionaire. Well, going through being a writer, having my first book published, my first poem also published online, having a lyric published, it kind of helped me. I even had my picture published, which helped me to move further in my life. I like it. I think if I didn't make that step in 2001, I'd have never been making this step right now, today. And I think with the good Lord's help, that was something I need to do. Like I said, being in the entertainment business, music, you learn a lot. I think with every job I have, you learn that it's hard. People will not like you for certain things. People will hate you for whatever reason. It could be the color of your skin, the way you're dressed, the way your body looks. It could be your sexual orientation. It could be anything. So I think, kind of thinking about my past, it's not easy. But like I said, I did a lot of things I shouldn't. Maybe a lot of jacking off I shouldn't. Or like my brother caught me one time. I think he said geeking. He would call, and my mother fussed me for that. I remember supposedly the neighbor's son wanted to hook up with me. I found out later he was gay. I already knew that, man. Apparently a lot of people who are gay, they know one another supposedly. Anyway, watching different films, movies. I think later on in life, I guess you try to make the best out of it. That's all I could think of. And at the end of the final days of everybody's life, I guess that's basically what we try to find. That's it. Okay, later on in my life story, I'll have to take a lot of supplements. I do get sick a lot, especially with sinuses, which it really, it kills me. So taking all these supplements, I guess trying to correct my body, because I kind of was a pill popper too. I popped some pills to get high one time, and I think I screwed up my body, but my sinuses was always bad. So also, if you watch the documentary called The King of Music, which is volume 1, 2, and 3, you'll probably see him. I think Amazon has them, Tower has them. Like I said, if you type my name in, then you will be able to find out much about me as a person. Well, as an artist, basically. I do have a MySpace, a Facebook, and Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook. You can be my friend on MySpace, friend on Facebook. You can subscribe. I don't have a problem with that.